with Brian Smith, the owner of Funny Farm Mustangs, and we're going to learn a little bit more about it. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's an awesome opportunity to be able to talk about our country's wild horses and burros. So me too. Thank you.
It'd be fun to hear about this nonprofit. So let's start off right with a question.
Sure.
What is Funny Farm Mustangs?
Great question. Funny Farm Mustangs is a nationally recognized 501c3 nonprofit that we started well over a decade ago in Nevada. Nevada being the wild horse and burro state of the western states. And basically our mission is to promote the adoptions and the gentling and training of our country's wild horses and burros.
So what is a Mustang compared to other horses, wild or not?
Okay, so as brief as possible, the term.
Be brief.
Yeah, the term.
Passionate.
Yes, the term wild is kind of a misnomer. Wild only suggests it means to the government, which is in charge of them, where they're born and raised and thrived. Okay, so they're still feral. They're just feral horses. However, our country's Mustangs have the genetic codes of going as far back as we can date, at least to the 15th century, 1519 in particular, when Spanish conquistadors brought their horses over. And that was the foundation base for the Mustangs of today, because it shows all the immigrants' stock that has came in to forge our country as it is. So that's the difference.
That's the difference, but what's the difference between those other wild horses we hear, like
So
out of Outer Banks
Outer
and
Banks,
stuff?
great question. That's a great question, Vikki. Perfect question. So the Outer Banks horses, the Corolla herds, the Okie horses, so those are also considered wild horses. And for many years, people thought genetically they thought they were part of the Dutch horses, but that's not the case. 1992 and then 2007, Dr. Gus Cothran, who runs he's the leading equine geneticist for the country down at Texas A&M University, they did the testing and found that these are Spanish horses as well. They have the colonial Spanish bloodlines as well. While they're not Mustangs, because they're not on the open range, they in and of themselves have very, very specific characteristics through the evolutionary process over the last 400 or 500 years of how they survive. Fortunately for them, they've got water and they've got a lot of forage compared to what's out west. So,
can I ask just a question off book here a little bit? Did they come first or the Mustangs? Is there a difference of timeline? Did you ever?
Well, so
I'm not trying to.
It's a great question, and I've never really got down to the nitty gritty to research those horses on the Outer Banks, although I've seen them many times when I was in North Carolina, as I did out west, because I was so integral out west. But I would venture to say they're probably right along the same timeline in our country's history. If you think logically, the Spanish came over into the Florida region, into what's now Cuba and the areas down there. But you got to imagine they also came up north a little bit along the coastline and stuff. So that's where we see that. The other influence is when they went through Mexico and started releasing horses out in the Southwest.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, our next question is, why are the Mustangs a significant part of the American history?
That's a great question, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that question. The major significance is they are how our country was formed as the country was forming. And that is one of the reasons why in 1971, Congress passed a congressional act that actually protects the wild horses and burros of our country, because our government recognized the historical importance. These horses that all of our distant relatives brought with them, because they didn't have cars, they didn't have trucks, they didn't have motorcycles, they didn't have anything. They had horses. And they brought them from all the regions of the world that makes up our bloodline. So when you do a DNA test on a wild horse, a Mustang, you'll see the beautiful different types of bloodlines of the people that immigrated here. Just like if you do our blood test, what do you see? The different types of blood from all the regions of the world. That's what makes them so important historically to this country, hands down.
That's a good way to think about it, compare it.
Yeah.
Now, Brian, can you share why adopting a Mustang is important?
Absolutely. So we know that Congress presented us with a congressional act that protects these horses. We know that historically they are vital to the history of this country. Therefore, it is absolutely imperative that when they gather the excess horses out there to manage the open range, you have to understand how it works. They just gather what's over that can make everything equal. Those horses are still under the act. Therefore, adoptions are necessary because right now in holding there's about 45 to 50,000
Wow, okay.
waiting for adoption.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, my Lord.
Yes.
That's a lot of
It's
Mustangs.
it's a lot of Mustangs. And here's the thing. What we don't want, and this is just to be brutally honest, is we don't ever want something or someone who maybe doesn't share the historical significance of these horses to be in a position of power to change the act,
Okay. Okay.
if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does.
Because the one thing I want people to understand is it's illegal to slaughter horses in this country. There is no such thing, regardless
Yeah.
of what you see online or any of that nonsense from armchair friggin' warriors who've probably never been next to a Mustang. It's illegal. But there are loopholes where if Brian goes up and gets a Mustang adopted, I have to hold that horse for 1 year. Even though I adopt the horse, the government still technically owns it. Once that year's passed, they send me a certificate. It's called the title, which is a beautiful, well-written title. I love having them. However, 1 year and 1 day, that horse now becomes private property, which the government will not interfere with. Therefore, if you're an unscrupulous human being, you could sell that horse to a slaughter pen or something like that.
Oh, that would be
That's
sad.
unfortunate.
That's terrible.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Absolutely terrible. And that's like extreme talking, but it's when you ask me the question, why do we have to get them adopted? We got about 45 to 50,000 in holding right now. It's a drain on money, and money is the root of everything. And so with the government, we got
So
to
it's
get them
really
adopted.
more to protect them. That's
It's
really.
more. It is. It's all about protecting them because these horses can be trained to do anything. Their intelligence level is
And we're going to get
unmatched.
to see somewhere later on. That'd be great. Okay.
So before a Mustang can be adopted, there is a lot of training that must occur. Can you share about the process?
Maybe even a success story about it.
Oh, we've actually had
Yeah,
many,
several.
many.
Yeah.
We've had many success stories. Because time is of essence, and I understand it, to be as brief as possible. when you are, it's not really training in the training that most people think. We don't sit there and run horses in circles and get them sweaty and all these old things that they did in the old days. No. When you ride with them like we did out in the open range and you learn from them first, because I'm the student first. I can't be a teacher unless I'm a student, and I'm always
like
a
that.
student.
Yeah.
So what they, and my mentor, Ed Dominguez, most amazing horseman ever, what they have all said is you have to gentle the wild horse first, properly, slowly, and methodically. Once you do that, and they trust you to the point where they bring you into their world, you're in.
Yeah.
And the beauty of the horse is because they live in the wild, everything to them is like they're always on. They're 100% always on. So they get it. But it's the same thing. If I'm teaching them something, it doesn't take that long for them to get it. Their mind and their thinking, if they trust you, you're in, they get it quick. And
Yeah.
it's nothing better than to watch a horse that you're working with real nice, easy, and all of a sudden the light bulb goes off and you're like, or goes on rather, and you're like, he
I bet
gets
it
it,
is
he
fascinating
understands it.
to see
It
and
is.
watch.
It
and-
is.
Yeah,
I'll
very
get you
rewarding.
wanted a success story? Okay. So usually if we do it through an organization called the Mustang Heritage Foundation for Adoptions as a tip trainer, I'm given 90 days just to get the horse gentled, which means there's 4 requirements. You got to be able to approach the horse and halter the horse. You got to be able to groom its body. You've got to be able to pick up its feet and clean them, and you got to be able to load and unload. That's it. What we do for free, I don't charge anybody anything, which is not a great business model, but it is what it is. I put about 8 or 10 ground exercises on them to teach them to have us come up and lay on them and hold on them and walk with them and stop and go back up, turn them, and I basically get them to the pre-saddle stage. Okay. So every now and then you'll get I call them wily horses. You'll get a wily horse. I've never, and this, let me say this one thing real fast. I've never, ever in 17 years of working with wild horses and their cousins, the wild burros, I've never had one try to charge me. I've never had one try to bite me. I've never had one try to jump out and kick at me. All these horror
Interesting.
stories that you hear from all these people, all these horses, I've never had that ever happen to me.
That's
Not one time.
interesting, huh?
But I have worked with some pretty wily
Stubborn
Mustangs.
ones.
And one of them was a mare, and she had a Native American name. It was beautiful. It's real long, but we called her Shay. And Shay was a beautiful, spotty Appaloosa, kind of buckskinny looking horse. Beautiful colors. So it literally took me like 89 days
Oh, you
to
just
get
made
that
it.
to get
Yeah.
that horse gentled. That horse right now is still a competition Western dressage horse.
I
Really?
remember you telling me about this one, yeah.
Yep, it's
That was
beautiful.
fascinating
She's
to hear.
won all kinds of events and
So
stuff.
she was a challenge, but she
Oh, she
actually
was a
ended up being a
challenge.
superstar.
She is a superstar to this day, and we've had many that have gone on to be just great working horses. Some they've used for roping, but most of the time, there's two types of adopters. One, just to have a pasture pet, just to love on and be part of our history's country. That you're making history when you adopt one of these horses.
And they become part of the family.
And they become part of the family. So you're protecting history, and you're also becoming a part of history. That's number one. Or number two, you just want a good solid trail horse, because that is truly nature's ATV right there. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about that
like
horse.
that.
Yep.
Okay.
So that's for training.
So Brian, how can somebody help Funny Farm Mustangs, like maybe volunteering, donating? What do you need? You need everything, huh?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
well, one of the things that we can always use volunteers when I have horses in training. It's always because it takes a lot of work off of me in certain aspects. I am not a proponent of asking people for money.
Okay, he needs money.
Yeah.
I'll ask for it.
No. So what I started doing, because we have been taking some, we've spent tens of thousands of dollars
Of
our
your own money.
Yes,
Yeah.
which is fine, but it's getting harder and harder. So what I've started to do is, as you can see behind us, I have a forge and an anvil, and I've been doing some blacksmith work. And so now what I'm trying to do, and I'm going to start putting this out on our Facebook at Funny Farm Mustangs, and Instagram at funny_farm_mustangs, and on our website. I'm starting to make small horse-related metalwork, mainly with horseshoes and horseshoe nails, forging like different types of things. And so
I'm gonna say I have one of your keychains.
you do have
still
one of the
on my
keychains,
keys.
that's right, and I'm making you something else as well.
Oh.
But
Where's mine?
well, I'm going to make you one too. But so what I'm going to try to do is I want to sell these and let people know that 100, not 95%, not 91%, not 80%, literally 100% of every single penny goes right back into Funny Farm Mustangs, because I don't accept salaries.
I was gonna
Nope,
say, I
I
know
don't
you
take
don't
a
take a
salary.
salary.
The money goes either for the gentling, an adoption, feed, in the event of hopefully not a medical thing, but in the event of a medical thing, you got a big horse, you got big vet bills, period. And everybody that has horses knows that, right?
Yeah.
And or anything I need for the forge, as far as like buying some old horseshoes or whatever. But we don't take any kind of salary whatsoever. We never have.
Okay, well, that's great.
So where is Funny Farm Mustangs located?
We're located in Aiken County, in South Carolina. It's a beautiful horse
And
capital
you used
here.
to be in Nevada, and you relocated to South
yeah.
Carolina.
That's correct.
Can I share that?
Yeah.
'Cause I just did.
No, oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, we were in Las Vegas. My wife and I were both working there. We got involved with the Bureau of Land Management and the Mustang Heritage Foundation, and I was literally like the senior tip trainer in Las Vegas for many years, and we really got involved big. We're all in the news out there, so it was cool.
So to clarify, you've been using the word tip.
Yes.
What is a tip?
Program?
Sure,
Yes.
yeah.
So the Mustang Heritage Foundation, which is supported by the Bureau of Land Management, is another 501c3 nationally recognized organization. And they do like the extreme Mustang makeovers and things. They move a lot of horses, great organization. They have a program for trainers, and I hate the word trainer because I'm not a trainer, I'm a teacher and I'm a student, always. But they have a program, it's called Trainer Incentive Program. What that allows is for Brandi, who wants to adopt a Mustang, she can go on the Mustang Heritage website and say, who trains exclusively with Mustangs? And our names will come up, and she can contact us. And then what I would do is I would like, okay, what are you looking to do with the horse? I got a litany of questions I ask her, talk to her a little bit. I will go up to a holding corral. I'll draw the horse for her. Basically, I'm signing out the horse, signing the horse out. We have 90 days from that day to get the horse gentled to meet those 4 original requirements about haltering, leading, trailering, and feet and all that. And then I add my 8 or 10 exercises on. So I'm doing the training for her. She doesn't pay me at all for anything. The Mustang Heritage Foundation, for one horse for 90 days, they will donate $1,000 to the organization to cover whatever costs. If it's a burro, I think it's $750.
So I'm going to just kind of put it in a couple steps. So if somebody wanted to adopt a Mustang or a burro, they would contact a person like yourself.
Correct. Well, I mean, you don't have to. You could go up and adopt a wild horse or burro out of the corrals right now as we speak. But the problem is, though, now you have a wild horse or burro on your hands, and do you know actually how to work with it?
But we want to have you do it.
We want you to do it.
Well, that's to facilitate that.
So, and then there's certain requirements that, as you mentioned, have to do.
Yep.
So, but that would kind of be the process. So.
Well, that and we do something a little bit more unique than I think most people do, and I mandate with the adopter. Say Brandi wanted a Mustang, I mandate that at least once a week you have to come to the farm. I'm going to once the horse is gentle enough where she can get in there with me. I'm going to bring her in there with me, and I'm going to teach her what I've taught your horse, but you're going to do it.
Okay.
Because it does your horse absolutely no good if I turn you over a horse that I've worked with for the last couple of months, and now you got it and you don't have a clue of what's going on, right? And you'd be surprised at how many people I've had to.
They don't want to put the work in?
No. They just. I get the same stories all the time. Oh, I've been around horses my whole life. Well, that doesn't mean you know how to work with them.
Oh, right.
That means you may be able to throw a leg over and put your ass in a seat, but that's got nothing to do with, you know what I'm saying? That has nothing to do with training properly with these horses, because these horses are not domestic horses,
right?
I can't be.
That's the difference.
It is the difference. They are not born in a foaling stall in a barn. They are not imprinted with us.
So is there a bonding process that needs to occur?
There is, and it's actually paramount. And that's a great way to say it, Brandi. Honestly, because I think some people.
She's so good.
She is good. I think some people think like, oh, they'll just work the horse and I'll go pick the horse up. No, not with an American Mustang, because you got to remember they are born into a group, into a family, and they live with a family. They're raised with a family. Yeah, mom at about 3 years old kicks out the kids, the boys. But those 3-year-old studs group up with other 3-year-old studs, and then you got bands of 3-year-old studs moving around looking for mares. Yeah, but they're always.
Sounds like my kids growing up.
Yeah, right. They're right. But they're always like that. So the bonding process is 1,000% so important. 100% important.
I can see
100%.
that.
Yeah.
Well, Brian, we appreciate you telling us a little bit more about Funny Farm Mustangs. It's
Thank you. I
great
appreciate
information, and we're excited to share with our community. So again, thank you.
Thank you. And
the website is up here. I want you to take a look at it.
Yes.
Maybe consider donating or helping here or buying an item that Brian will make. I think just giving him money is really probably the best thing, even though he doesn't like to take it that way. But donating money.
I appreciate that. FunnyFarmMustangs.org, O-R-G is the website, and I'll find somebody that can put that stuff up on the website for me, because I've had people build it. I'm definitely not a technical guy at all, man.
I'm going to put a request. He needs a tech person to help him.
I could definitely use that. And somebody that can like take pictures and stuff like that, and that can put those up there.
So that would be a volunteer to help.
That'd be
help
wonderful.
Support your website. And provide things.
That would be a wonderful.
Need.
That would be a definite need, man. That's a big one. So, but thank you for letting me share this. It's amazing.
Yeah, again,
amazing.
thank you.
Let's go check out some of those Mustangs.
Yeah, let's go.
And if you would like to learn more, just contact Brian. And remember, it's your home, your lifestyle, and we
are your real estate team.